wakes up in the middle of the night, drenched in cold sweat. His heart beats erratically against his ribs. The nightmare was vivid and specific. He saw his car, the old blue sedan, being crushed by a container falling from a truck on the curve of the road he takes to work every morning. The image of the metal twisting and the glass shattering was etched in his mind like a film. The clock marks 3:17 a.m. Sleep does not return. He tosses in bed, exhausted but alert, his eyes fixed on the dark ceiling, trapped by the oppressive feeling and the absurd detail of the dream. The morning decision. At dawn, exhausted and with raw nerves, the man looks at himself in the mirror. The memory of the dream is intense and sharp. He rationalizes, tells himself it's just superstition, but a chill down his spine persists. For the first time in years, he decides not to take the road. He grabs his phone and sends a message to his colleague, a young woman who shares the daily commute with him and depends on his ride to get to work on time. He invents an excuse, says he's feeling sick and won't be able to drive today. It's a sunny day outside, but he feels fragile and somewhat ashamed of his own irrationality. He stays home, trying to distract himself with household chores, but the image of the container doesn't leave his head. The lost connection. At that same time, the young woman wakes up to the message on her phone. Panic sets in immediately. She has a crucial job interview that morning, the chance to change her life and finally escape the dead-end position she shares with him at the warehouse. She was counting entirely on his ride. The interview location is across town, far from any bus route she knows. The regular bus to her current job has already passed. She runs through the streets in desperation, trying to find a taxi, frantically checking ride-sharing apps that show no available drivers nearby. The cruel minutes slip through her fingers. She arrives at the interview location 23 minutes late, her face flushed, her breath short, and her blouse damp with sweat. The receptionist looks at her with cold pity and informs her that the manager has already seen another candidate. The opportunity is gone. The filled position. The manager, a pragmatic man, does not like delays. He interprets tardiness as a lack of commitment and professionalism. While the young woman was running desperately through the streets, he was already interviewing another professional who arrived 15 minutes early, composed and well prepared. The candidate was competent, had a solid resume, and most importantly, was there at the right time. The manager offers him the position on the spot. The company needed someone immediately, and he prides himself on making quick decisions. Later that afternoon, upon receiving the young woman's desolate voicemail explaining her situation, he listens with half attention while reviewing other documents. He is polite but firm in his return call. He says the position has already been filled and wishes her good luck in her search. He hangs up the phone and returns to his work, completely unaware of the whirlwind his decision has just set in motion. The path astray. The young woman, devastated, wanders the city aimlessly for hours. Without this job, her mounting bills become a suffocating threat. Eviction notices, overdue credit cards, her mother's medication costs, everything crashes down on her at once. She remembers a friend who once mentioned quick money through questionable odd jobs at a downtown bar. With her morale shattered, her savings depleted, and pressure mounting from every direction, she goes to this bar late that evening. The atmosphere is heavy, smoky, filled with faces that don't ask questions. The owner, sensing her desperation, offers her a simple task: deliver a package to a man in an alley 6 blocks away. Cash payment, no questions, no paperwork. The money he shows her is more than she'd make in a week at the warehouse. Her hands tremble as she accepts, but the chill on the back of her neck is greater than her need. Her life's trajectory has just taken a sharp and irreversible turn. The unexpected encounter. In the dimly lit alley. During the delivery, everything goes wrong in an instant. Two plainclothes police officers emerge from the shadows. It's a routine sting operation they've been running for weeks. The man receiving the delivery spots them first and flees immediately, disappearing into the maze of back streets, leaving the young woman behind, frozen in shock, still holding the package. In blind panic, she tries to explain, stammering that she doesn't know what's inside, that this was her first time, that she was desperate, but the situation is flagrant and her story sounds painfully weak and rehearsed. As she is handcuffed and led to the unmarked police car, tears streaming down her face, she passes directly by a well-dressed man walking to his parked vehicle. It is the manager who rejected her that very morning. He recognizes her instantly, same face, same desperate eyes, now in handcuffs. A strange chill runs through his stomach. A distant and uncomfortable echo of guilt, a fleeting wonder if things might have been different. But he quickly suppresses the thought, attributing it all to poor life choices and lack of personal responsibility. He gets in his car and drives away, the image already fading from his mind. The reverberation. The news of her daughter's arrest reaches the young woman's mother late that night through a terse phone call from the police station. The elderly woman, who suffers from a serious heart condition and takes daily medication she can barely afford, feels the shock like a physical blow to her chest. She always feared that the lack of opportunities and the grinding poverty would eventually lead her daughter down a dangerous path. The anguish tightens around her heart, a sharp and terrifyingly familiar pain. She staggers and collapses alone in her small kitchen, still clutching the phone. The neighbor who usually checks on her each evening is away visiting family for the week. The elderly woman manages to dial emergency services, but her voice comes out weak and slurred, and she struggles to articulate her address clearly. The dispatcher asks her to repeat several times. Precious, irreplaceable minutes drain away as confusion clouds her mind. The late intervention. An ambulance crew is finally dispatched, but the address recorded is incomplete. The street name is correct, but the house number was garbled. The team arrives at the residential area and begins searching, knocking on doors, checking mailboxes in the dark. They lose 8 crucial minutes going to the wrong houses, encountering confused residents who know nothing. When they finally locate the correct address, they force the door open and find the elderly woman unconscious on the kitchen floor, her skin already pale and cool. They work frantically during the transport to the hospital, performing CPR, administering medications, doing everything in their power. But the heart attack was massive, and the time lost in the chaotic search was decisive. Despite the emergency room team's best efforts, her heart never restarts. A life is extinguished, not by one great announced tragedy, but by a cascading sequence of small failures, and terrible timing. The emptiness and the inheritance. The young woman, released on bail 3 days later through a public defender's intervention, receives the news in the courthouse's cold hallway. A social worker delivers the information with practiced gentleness, but the words land like hammer blows. Her world collapses in a way no jail cell could ever replicate. The guilt and pain are absolute and consuming. She lost her mother, her only anchor, her only family, her only source of unconditional love, the precise moment when she needed her most desperately. Now, besides facing a criminal trial that could send her to prison, she inherits her mother's simple house filled with memories, along with a stack of unpaid medical bills and a small mortgage. The apartment, once a warm home filled with her mother's laughter and cooking smells, is now a hollow setting of painful memories and crushing loneliness. She sits on the living room floor where she played as a child, without the strength even to cry, enveloped by the suffocating silence of the empty house. Her mother's reading glasses still rest on the side table. Her sweater still hangs on the chair. The sapling on the asphalt. 2 weeks after the elderly woman's death, the house remains closed and dark. The small garden, which she had maintained with such devoted care for over 20 years, begins to grow wild and untamed. A sapling of flamboyant trees she had planted 5 years earlier and nurtured like a child. Dreaming of the day it would bloom in brilliant reddies, now suffocated by aggressive weeds, one of its branches, thin and desperate for sunlight, grows outside the low garden wall, bending towards the sidewalk, reaching further each day. On a Tuesday morning, a cyclista delivery worker running late, distracted while swerving to avoid a carelessly parked car, doesn't see the protruding branch. It catches his front wheel at speed, jerking it violently to the side. He loses control instantly and is thrown sideways directly into the path of a passing delivery truck. The impact is severe and sickening. The branch that the old woman would have pruned weeks ago, because she always kept her garden pristine, because she took pride in maintaining the neighborhood's beauty, that branch claimed. Its last victim in the long and invisible chain that began, quiet and terrifying, inside a man's restless mind on an ordinary night, disturbed by a nightmare that may never have come true.